they took the TA as well and put it in Gunner's hands rather than sort of put Sammy Boy on the hero. So as you said, mostly a divide between the regions. South America liking that TA more in a sort of position 1 role. Meanwhile, D2 Hustlers coming in for their first support pick, getting the Witch Doctor online, so a hero that's starting to get a little bit more in the way of popularity here, but Undying, quick to respond with the Oracle. So they've got some lockdown, they've got some defensive power with that Oracle pick, and I like that hero as that sort of backup in case Undying maybe run into a little bit of difficulties in these team fights.
Yeah, and it makes it so that the chrono gets a little bit more complicated. I also would have loved to see the Winter Wyvern. We saw that hero getting a little bit of speed and still one of the best counters versus that Faceless Void. As soon as the chrono goes down, you go for that Winter's Curse, and then it sort of throws a wrench into the works. But Oracle, very, very similar in that regard. Almost a little bit better versus the Invoker, specifically just because you do have that Fate's Edict. You are able to make your heroes spell immune for just that little bit of time, and pairs very, very well with the TA just because you can blink while you're false promised. You're not taking any damage. You're always able to get in and out. And it's that in and out playstyle that Undying are really trying to facilitate with these heroes, where we're going to have these lanes pushed in constantly. We're going to have the plays being made in those side lanes. And I do like the Legion Commander. I'm glad that Devi was able to get one of his sort of comfort heroes here, but you picked it into the Oracle, which feels a little bit strange, almost like picking Legion Commander into Shadow Demon, where the save is there. The save is definitely there from the Undying side already, so you need to be very careful when you jump in. Otherwise, simple False Promise, simple Fate's Edict on the Legion Commander, a few Purifying Flames, and all your damage is sort of gone at that point.
Yeah, and I don't know, as you said, comfort for Devi Llama, but you would think it's a lot like the Bat Rider in the way of the kind of obvious quote-unquote solution would be to then jump the Oracle with your duel, but then, well, you're dueling an Oracle. That's not always the sort of tactical play that you want, and even if you do land that, you gotta look at the Undying side. They'll still have the Beastmaster with the Roar. The Tusk with the Snowball could sort of create a little bit of extra time and space as well, so the LC is certainly an interesting pick, and Devi Llama can make some things happen with it, but it just feels like unless you really catch Undying by surprise, I don't know how effective the LC will be with that sort of single target lockdown. But outside of that, the duel isn't obviously the only sort of benefit that she brings to the table. You do still have some nuke damage, and the press the attack is going to be very much useful in terms of trying to sort of keep herself and teammates alive. So still a lot of benefit for the LC, but it feels like in terms of offensive firepower, you might be a little bit less reliable than you otherwise would be.
Yep, for sure. And you do have that save very easy versus the Beastmaster Roar, but Beastmasters will sort of just roar you instead. Even though the Necro books are out of the meta, we see him get that early Solar Crest up. Legion Commander, not one of those very high armor, high tanky heroes up until you get that Blade Mail. So Devi Llama is going to need to have a really, really perfect game. And I do like the Hoodwink pick. D2 Hustlers were looking for that 4 position, but I know they were afraid that Devi Llama's pool would get banned out even further if they didn't pick up his hero, but the Snapfire, the Mirana, really just perfect bans from Undying. I feel like they really would have preferred that over this Wink, but we've seen this hero be valued, be undervalued, be banned, be not banned. We'll have to see. We saw yesterday Michael had an outstanding performance on the hero. We can definitely see it succeed in a lot of situations, and it does dissuade if they were looking for it. Maybe that last pick, Timbers or Bristleback, coming out from the Undying side. So we'll have to see what Tomato decides to rely on. But yeah, we're just gonna see the Ursa, the old standby classic counter versus the Legion Commander again. So Devi, he's really gonna be, I think, the weak link coming in from D2 Hustlers.
Yeah, not 100% sure what you're necessarily going to be able to get out of that, but we did outline. I mean, it's not entirely hopeless for this LC. Life might get a little bit difficult in terms of locking down some of those opposing heroes, but you are still going to have some openings. So at the end of the day, Devi could power through, but he's going to need to power through. This is not just going to be a sort of simple walk in the park kind of scenario for him on that Legion Commander. So we'll see how it plays out. As you said, the Hoodwink is also an interesting pick for the D2 Hustlers side. Michael made it look incredibly strong yesterday, but to be fair, Michael makes a lot of heroes look much stronger than average for other players. So it'll be interesting to see if Frugos can sort of get a similar impact here. If he can provide that little bit of extra damage and lockdown, then D2 Hustlers may be able to make something happen here with this lineup, but we will have to wait and see. Everyone has now selected their heroes, so we should be loading in momentarily. Game 1 of this series just about ready to get underway. As we mentioned at the sort of top of the draft, both teams really getting down to their final opportunities here, and both teams would very much like these points, trying to secure themselves that last little surge to make sure they get an upper bracket spot. Do want to point out, once again, though, we've been sort of saying it a couple of times over the last few days, there is no elimination in this group stage. No one is getting knocked out right now, but having that extra buffer of starting in the upper bracket, obviously going to give you a shorter path to the grand finals, and B, a fallback plan, a safety net, if you will, in case you do lose that opening matchup.
And really, D2 Hustlers being 7-3, they do have the advantage where if you get one win versus Undying, first off, that's fantastic. That proves that you really can sort of kick up. They are Div 2 going Div 1 this season, so that would be a fantastic precedent to set. But it just gives you that safety net versus the cut where I feel like D2 Hustlers should be able to 2-0 them. But if you do end up 1-1ing them, you need the victory here. Otherwise, that tiebreaker situation you just want to get those wins early on in the day before you play that really penultimate matchup later on tonight. But really, D2 Hustlers, they just want to win as many games as they can. Of course, same thing with Undying. They want their one victory here. They want to secure that upper division spot or upper bracket spot. But it's hard. It's going to be hard playing versus Undying.
Yeah, and Undying, they took a tumble in their previous series. They did suffer that 0-2 defeat, so maybe, you're looking at them, maybe some weaknesses have been exposed, but in fairness to Undying, they lost that series against 4Zoomers, who went 12-2 in this group stage. So it's not exactly a situation where I think Undying are sort of reeling off the back of that one. They got outplayed by really the strongest team in the field right now. So they're looking for a chance to bounce back, and if D2 Hustlers aren't careful, they could be feeling the full brunt of maybe a little bit of pent-up sort of frustrations for Undying after that previous loss. So could be a little bit rough for them, but we'll see. We do need a player back in the server as there's a quick reconnect from Saberlight, and we should be good to go.
Yep, and that's something that D2 Hustlers do have going for them. They did take a game off of the Zoomers, and they have been taking games pretty much off of the other two front runners in that upper playoff bracket, where they took a 1-1 versus Hikori, they took a 1-1 versus Infamous, and that's why I really love them having Yuma on this Void, having Papa Tootie on this Invoker, where if these games do drag on, D2 Hustlers just have this air about them where if they can drag you down and dirty into that 35-40 minute timer, anything can happen at that point. Even though you do have the experience, you do have this Ursa that is going to sort of shorten the lifespan of the game because those Roches are going to be sort of getting taken a little bit sooner. If D2 Hustlers can bounce back, if they can pull something out, I really think this is the lineup that they could do it with. Whereas Undying, if they play good Dota, they're going to win. They probably should win, but you can never count out D2 Hustlers.
Yeah, and well, as you said, we have seen very rarely that sort of late game 35-40 minute, as you mentioned, Faceless Void actually sort of fail to hit home. So if you're Undying, you might be playing on, honestly, a bit of a timer here, but that honestly may sort of play to their strength. As you sort of mentioned, they're going to try and maybe push the pace a little bit with that Ursa selection. So everything could align for a sort of more aggressive style out from that Undying lineup. And if they're successful, then, well, we'll have to wait and see just how D2 Hustlers respond, as we are getting into that sort of laning stage. Dubu doing well to sort of block off the camp there. Not going to let that one spawn up, and going to sort of take away that pull play from the side of D2 Hustlers.
Yeah, and Dubu, his hero is really good versus the Bushwhack. Very good versus Hoodwink in general, I think. Just because if you ever walk up too far, you always have that Fortune's End, the long route, and it will be pretty obnoxious. And to that point, we saw the last time Saberlight playing this Beastmaster, if they are able to find the punishments, if they are able to get that Blink Dagger up on Devi, he's really the one that needs to get them through that 15-25 minute time period. If he isn't the sort of player that they need, the player to hold down these Undying heroes and find those pickoffs when they do eventually split up to farm the map, then again, Tomato, they're just going to farm up. They're going to play to their strengths, and they're going to play for that later situation. And if they have 2-3 Aegises that end up going their way, it's hard to say that D2 Hustler's base is going to be able to withstand that.
Yeah, very much going to be needing to keep tabs on that. I mean, you've already got an Ursa, so you are inherently just sort of going to be eyeing up the Roche Pit a little bit more often anyway, but based on the lineup that D2 Hustlers have put together, they're going to have to pay even more attention to that early on. In the meantime, mostly just sort of a slow start from both teams. Last hit focus for them here. We do see maybe a little bit of damage in onto the Invoker mid, though, as Papatuti
and he's getting worked. Wow. Absolutely worked.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Papatuti. He
Okay.
has the Fairy Fire, but still,
Oh,
he
boy.
is really struggling. He's going to get a few more last hits here. And 9-6 to 6-4, it isn't the worst case scenario, but really, Pryle just showing the matchup. This is why you pick that TA versus the Invoker.
Yeah, and Papatuti at least able to deny the Water Rune, so that's a nifty little play for him there, but the fact that he has to go for that is sort of indicative of where he was at there. He wasn't going to be able to win that sort of foot race, so it is better that no one has it as opposed to giving it over to that Templar Assassin. Meanwhile, back down bot, there was a bit of an attempt in from D2 Hustlers. They tried to get onto Tomato. That overwhelming odds play is actually hitting him pretty hard here, so the Ursa's got to be careful. He's burned through quite a bit of regen already. He's holding on to a stick and a Fairy Fire, but outside of that, regen's a little bit low, so I don't know just how much they're going to be able to sort of put together here in terms of getting it onto him, but I don't know. Frugos is holding on to the Bushwhack, so Bushwhack into overwhelming odds, into maybe a right-click or two, and Tomato will have to be at least a little bit careful of his positioning until more regen gets delivered, as Saberlight able to find a kill into Pandego up in the top lane. Yuma can't really do a lot to defend his teammate. Pandego did throw down that Maledict, but it's not going to be enough to really get any return kills, as Undying will draw first blood here in Game 1.
Yep, and wasn't able to get that cask off. Unfortunately, there was just a double wave coming in, so even if he tried to get it down, it most likely wouldn't have mattered. And just the level 2 tick up from Moon Meander, getting the shards block off. It's those slight level advantages that we always see these very experienced teams able to sort of swing in their direction. And Pandego does need to be a little bit careful. If Moon Meander really wants, he will just sort of go ham on him. And this is why they banned out the Chen, because now Witch Doctor is not the most exciting hero versus this Beastmaster, so you'll see Saberlight get those boars, always put Pandego sort of at risk here. And when Moon leaves, there is going to be a situation where Saberlight might be able to get punished by that cask, but whenever the Tusk decides to sync up after these runes, it's always something you're going to need to be cautious of.
Yeah, we see both of those position 4 heroes rotating their way mid, just looking to secure really Water Runes right now, so Brow's going to be able to get his, and the Water Rune here is still being sort of guarded over by Frugos, but we should see Papatuti sort of make his way over, although at this point he doesn't have a bottle, so it's going to be a little bit less important for him to pick that up, but he does still grab it. So a little bit of extra regen for him. The Hoodwink returns to the bottom lane, but I don't know. This is still an interesting one in the mid lane, as Bryle is really starting to pull away a bit more now, getting those Sideblades in, or Sideblade hits in. He's got nearly 10 more last hits than his sort of counterpart, and we sort of mentioned Papatuti might sort of struggle a little bit in this lane, but as long as he doesn't get too far out of position, and as long as he doesn't get picked off, I think he's going to be okay, but you are giving up a decent bit to Bryle here through the first couple of minutes.
And a few of those last hits are definitely just Brown being efficient farming that small camp, but he's been really good at actually always getting that Refraction Meld Strike, at least one of his Refraction damage charges being used to sort of force Papatuti to get more regen than he otherwise would need to buy. This is his second or third set of tangos, and when you have this Quaswex Invoker, really the biggest benefit is that you don't need to buy regen, you have those balls to heal you up, whereas the enemy mid laner who usually needs mana to last hit, you just cause problems for him with the EMPs. So Ryo is really sort of swinging this matchup in the other direction, even though he'll probably lose his clarity here. There isn't much that Papatuti can do at this point once you get sort of behind this TA. And now that the traps are up, Papatuti always needs to be careful, especially if he wants to sort of make his rotation into the jungle.
This is not really going to be a fun time for him, and Papatuti
And top?
actually getting the early point there in the Exort as top lane. Pandego, yeah, trapped up again. Same play, almost the same position as well. As they trap him up inside the shards, Saberlight is there, the tag team comes through, and Yuma's just not going to provide any defensive power here whatsoever. He threw in the dilation, but That's not going to be enough to really save
And he
anyone.
used his TP on the Witch Doctor, so support is not coming for a while. So this is Yuma on his own, and Saberlight, he's going to get level 6 pretty soon here, because Moon has been rotating really heavily. This top lane is a massive success for Undying so far.
About 5.5 already, while the Tusk looking to set up mid. 2 points up in the tag team, so they can do quite a bit of damage onto Papatuti if they can just get the initiation. Can Bryle really maybe lead this one off with maybe a trap play? There it is. Trap comes in. Moon Meander charges forward. They're going to get hit up, though, by that disarm from the Deafening Blast. But Dupu's actually in there as well with the Fortune's End. Papatuti doesn't have any real mana to work with here, and he's going to get trapped up in the shards. Looking to turn onto Moon Meander, though, but I don't think he actually has the damage. The Snowball's going to come through just to sort of be sure, and Moon, he will live. Bryle gets the kill onto Papatuti, and it got a little dicey there, but that's still some solid execution from Undying to get the pick off.
Yeah, and Frugos didn't feel comfortable TPing in there. He felt like there was just a few too many heroes for the Hoodwink to really be effective. And while Divine Llama is having a very impressive CS right now, really, Tomato is right up there with him. And you have Dubu making plays around the map. You're seeing him rotate in and out. And it's just the sort of independency coming in from the Ursa where you don't always need to babysit him. And this is something that you need to be a little bit scared of. And
Divai, I don't know about this. Frugos, though, is coming in to help out, so maybe they could hit this. If Divai could hit level 6, that'd be even better. But Tomato getting away for now. Bushwhack, though.
Oh, it actually landed.
Divai should have kept going, but he didn't know that that Bushwhack was going to connect. A little bit of a miscommunication there. Had they kept on going, they almost certainly could have gotten that kill. There was almost no HP on Tomato, and didn't really have an ult to sort of reduce that damage either, so slight missed opportunity, but at least they're going to get damage onto the tower. This tier 1 is really taking a beating.
And he does need to be a little bit careful. Divai's taking a lot of damage, but he's
so
doing a
close to
really
6,
good
though.
job of having this creep wave just constantly hitting him, almost playing at it like he's an axe, where he gets those moment of courage procs very, very consistently. And Tomato will lose his tower, but they're still playing very heavy set onto the mid lane. And Papatuti is winning the Sentry War, so the TA traps aren't really coming into effect, but you are getting speed underneath this Divine Llama Legion Commander. He's already almost a quarter of the way to that blank, and okay.
Moon. This is a little bit of an awkward one. Divine Llama's going to come in, but the duel actually won't come through just yet. That Snowball will buy some time, but he's still trapped. Duel will come through, and the Tusk should go down. Sunstrike even being deployed. Yuma gets the kill. Divine Llama gets the damage. You get Papatuti a bit of an assist there. And really, that one goes pretty spectacularly. The only downside is the fact that Saberlight, while that was going on, it did take the tower. Oh god, it did take the tower up top, but Bryle's now in some trouble. Tornado's locking him in. Bryle now trapped up inside of the ice wall, and they're actually going to get him as well.
And these are heavy rotations coming in from the D2 Hustler side, but man, Papatuti with his build, he just has all of the spells. They don't do that much damage necessarily, but it's exactly what he needs to take down this TA, and there's really no rebuttal. Are they actually going to do this?
I don't think they should, but Moon's going in.
Saberlight's
Saberlight, though,
in.
they've got the roar. Okay. If Saberlight's here, maybe they can get this done, but Pandago and Frugos are coming in, trying to defend their teammate. Papatuti is still going to go down, though, so Dubu will find the kill. That Snowball really didn't have anywhere to go, but Pandago, he's still slowed up by the boar. And he should be going down here. That's a nice play in with the overwhelming odds from the LC, but it's not going to be enough to matter. So Saberlight gets himself the kill, and that one, to be honest, I didn't think they were going to be able to get that. But with Saberlight rotating in, they've got the lockdown and the damage, and they are going to be able to swing that one their way. Now they're taking the tier 1 tower mid as well.
And if they can focus down this Papatuti Invoker, he really is the sort of hero up until this blink comes out from your Legion Commander. That they need this Invoker to have a good enough start to be able to deal with that aggression, because while you bring 5 heroes, great, you kill Bryle, you use all of your spells, you have no cooldowns. That's the biggest downside of this Papatuti Invoker. Sure, you have all of your spells, but they're all just so long cooldown, and you're just completely out of mana when you have to commit those 5-6 spells to kill 1 or 2 heroes. And they got wind of the stack, and this is all just going to go towards Bryle's, really just his Deso timing.
And Bryle, yeah, starting to get closer to it. He's already got enough for one of the hammers, so this is where things will get uncomfortable for D2 Hustlers. They're already giving up quite a bit, and once your TA's got the Deso, once Tomato sort of builds up that Diffusal, they're going to be capable of sort of pushing in even further, looking for sort of bigger opportunities to sort of force these fights. And on the D2 Hustlers side, they do have heroes that can sort of farm their way back up. We do see Yuma trying to sort of get himself going here. He's got himself the Mask of Madness, but this is where some of those early tower pushes come into play. With the tier 1 gone both top and mid, Hustlers sort of lose a little bit of safe access to that north side jungle area, and We can see right now Undying are pushing their way
wink.
forward. Frogos going to get jumped in on. Frugos, rather, excuse me, as he gets hit up, and Dubu is able to bring him down.
Yep, and not much they can do about that one. And that's where I'm looking for the hero that D2 Hustlers need to place up versus this Beastmaster, and they've got a lot of units here. Okay.
Chrono deployed, but they didn't get the dual win. They could still find the kill, though. Moon will go down, but Saberlight turns around with the roar, and yeah, Papatuti's just dead. Brow comes into the fight. Yuma's going to look to TP out as well. Can he get away? Yes, he can, but his teammates are still in trouble. Oh, okay, yeah, he might just die to the Maledict here.
Oh, perfect. If the refraction charge lasts out,
okay, he's going to be fine. Oh, Yuma, though, okay, he wants back in for it. He is going to be able to get it. Bryle will be taken down, so they do eventually find that kill, but the resources that needed to be committed there, they get the Maledict down into the Death Ward, they throw the Sharpshooter out, and eventually they are able to find it, but that one got a little bit dicey. It's a 2-for-2 exchange overall, and D2 Hustlers do come away with more gold, but they needed a lot of their resources to find those kills.
And unfortunately, I think Bryle was fine. He turned around trying to get a little bit... they wanted back in that fight, especially seeing the Faceless Void pop that Mask of Madness. There might have been a situation where they can get back in that fight, but I think Bryle also just thought he was dead, but he really... The refraction tanked up that Sharpshooter, so I think he would have been fine, but they're still fighting in this area. They've got another duel.
All right. False Promise, though, in from Dubu, so no dual win, but, you know... Can the Tusk actually keep himself alive here? The Snowball will buy him time. Meanwhile, Bryle, he's back in. This is pretty much the exact same area that we saw that previous fight go down in, and the Hustlers will lose too. Frugos dead, Pandago gone as well, so... Devi, I mean, he thought that was going to be a relatively easy one, right? You get the duel in, you got a little bit of backup, you got the Sunstrike coming in from your Invoker, so in theory, that's a quick and easy play, but... Well, the presence of the Oracles there to pretty much ruin everything.
Boy, it's so fast.
Wow, yeah. Roche is gone.
And it's just the well-rounded lineup coming in from Undying, where now 13-minute Roche, you have a Diffusal Blade completed on Tomato. All of those spells, at the end of the day, were committed for a Tusk. And you're still working towards that Blink Dagger on Devi. He is just going to walk into everyone.
Loaded up by the trap, able to use the press the attack to remove that, but the Snowball still locks him down. That's going to be the Walrus Punch to follow it up, and Bryle will get the kill. So, here comes Undying. They're just going to keep on pushing forward. They've got the Aegis now to feel even more confident, and D2 Hustlers at this point in time, they're not able to take sort of those smaller engagements. Maybe when they've got the Duel, the Sharpshooter, the Chronosphere, when they've got that sort of whole smorgasbord of abilities to throw out there, they stand a better chance. But in those smaller engagements where they're just getting sort of picked off one at a time, there's just nothing for them to do. They really do need to try and regroup here and get that sort of teamfight strength online, as Papatuti and Yuma, they're eyeing up Moon Meander here, so maybe they could jump in.
This is the only combo. They don't have that much damage to put inside the Chronosphere, so they're going to have to do something to Moon here. Okay. They don't want to Chrono him.
Oh my god, those bashes. Wow.
Yuma. I mean, Bash God, we've seen him bash people to death before, but that was a little unsightly. But that's what they need to do. That's really the only hero-player combination that can sort of get anything done with this Chronosphere. I mean, the Legion Commander doesn't sync up. While you are able to put that Acorn shot in the Chronosphere for the Bushwhack, again, you don't have that sort of supplemental damage. You have to wait a little bit here. And that's where they need to find some sort of play on Saberlight, but talked about it a little bit yesterday when we saw the Beastmaster again. When you're Radiant Beastmaster, you just have so much space to work with. Yeah, the
Pandago saved by the duel. That's a nice little play there. It won't get them any sort of kill, but... Chrono. Oh, wait, maybe it will. Chrono in from Yuma. They're going to go for it. Can the Ursa be saved? Where's that promise? There it is. Okay. False Promise deployed. Saberlight in with the Roar. They're going to lock down the Faceless Void. They hit him up with the Snowball as well, and Yuma is actually the one to go down. What a massive sort of reversal of fortunes there, and Tubu, he's just yanking his teammates out of the fire time after time. This Oracle pick has been so good for them so far.
And they need to find the plays onto really just this Beastmaster. They need to find the space. They need to Chrono him, really, if anyone, because he's the hero that is going to play by himself, play isolated in this top lane, and they're just taking top while they're taking this sort of crazy fight mid.
Papatuti, this is not good. He's trying to get away. One more hit may finish him off, but Tornado buying a little bit of time. Cold Snap comes in as well. Tomato, he can't hit it just yet. The Bushwhack even pulling him back, and Papatuti lives. Now the duel comes in. That was a mistake. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem.
Okay.
Papatuti turns around to try and help, but he ends up getting taken down too, so neither of those plays end up having the effect that Hustlers wanted, and now Pandago, he's going to get caught out as well. How in the world does that happen? They go from free and clear with everybody getting out to losing 3 because of, honestly, a bad duel from Divine Llama. That was not a good call.
Yeah, and I mean, 9k gold lead 16 minutes into the game. It feels like that one missed chrono, and with these super long cooldowns, the margin for error is so high. You chrono a target
Okay.
that immediately gets saved. Pandago's dead now.
That's his
They're trying to
dieback.
play around their vision. It really is starting to feel quite bad. Because now, this is before those items were really finished on the Undying side. Now you've got Death Zone, now you've got Solar Crest coming out. And this is just a massive problem, to be honest. Blink Dagger also in the pipeline for this Ursa. And once those items are completed, ooh, Papatuti,
We're on to
it doesn't
Frugos.
matter.
Yeah, Papatuti can't save his teammate now. He's in trouble as well.
He's
Force
got a
Staff
Force Staff.
should... There we go. Yeah, Force Staff will get him over the wall. So Papatuti will be fine, but another pickoff. 17 kills now for Undying in the first 17 minutes. A 10k lead, and Bryle's now got that Desolator online. So he was already a problem for pretty much all of these D2 Hustlers to survive, and now that damage output takes a rather sizable step forward, and it's also going to help him burn through this tower. Tier 2 mid's just going to get completely wiped out.
And this is sort of the issue with Papatuti's build. We are seeing him sort of fall behind now. He's had to go for this Force Staff. We don't see the Vessel. We don't see the Midas. And now your key hero is dying bottom, trying to finish off his Blink Dagger. And while he is able to get it, it really is make or break it. If they don't get anything out of this next chrono, this next set of spells, then I think Undying are just going to ride this one all the way home.
Pandago in some trouble. Oh no. Doesn't get him over the wall. Instead, it just sort of keeps him in the middle of the fight as Saberlight is going to be able to find the pickoff. And now Papatuti, he's just got to run, but they do hit him up with a trap. They're not actually going to pursue him, though. They have a chance for the Tier 3 tower, so they're just pushing the high ground. 18 minutes in, they are going to burn through a Tier 3. Or maybe not. Glyph?
Oh, and it's fine. They get the glyph if they really want. Now they don't have any reason to back away. Aegis is going to expire, so they do need to be a little bit cautious, but aside from that, they're just going to farm. Those items are there that I was sort of alluding to, where now Aetherland's going to be completed on that Oracle. You get to sit even further back. Saberlight's going to make for the, or break for the top lane, where now that wave is going to be start pushing in. And you see these D2 Hustlers, everyone is on the high ground. They need to find a smoke, they need to do something. And if this next set of spells doesn't get anything, they're not able to get those key picks. Probably the really one that matters is Bryle. If they can kill this TA, this is going to be huge. But you need to get the TA and the Oracle. You need the vision to sort of make this play, or you need to throw out the duel just because. You need to get this Oracle ulti out of here, otherwise it doesn't matter who you initiate on.
Oh,
they found him.
Okay,
Perfect.
they're in onto the Oracle. Big duel for them. Yuma looking for the Chrono as well. Actually, he doesn't have it right now, so he's not going to be able to deploy it there, but well, now his teammates are in a little bit of trouble. Pandago gets taken down. Divai is going to get picked off on the backline as well. So they got the Oracle kill. They just weren't really able to turn it into much more, and neither of those heroes have buyback, and Saberlight's in with the Roar. They're going to lock down Frugos, taking out that Hoodwink as well. At least the Hoodwink has buyback, but I don't know if that's going to be enough as this push comes back in onto the high ground.
And did Yuma have to use his Chrono defensively? I could have sworn he had it, because now this is just it. If you don't have Chrono there, if you had the initiation onto the Oracle, you could have gone in on the backline, maybe get something with Bryle and Pandago's ultimate, but this feels like it's just going to be it here in a few moments.
And I don't know, it was maybe like halfway through the cooldown when we sort of checked in on it in that fight, so to be honest, I don't really remember him having used it before. As you said, I kind of could have sworn that he did have it, but apparently not. They tried for that fight anyway, and it's impressive in the fact that they do get Dubu. That's the play that you sort of needed to see from them, but that's not enough. You need to take down Dubu and then actually take the fight. Instead, that's the only pickoff that they get, and Undying really just sort of make their opponents pay for that one, and now they're just going to keep on kind of sieging them up. They're just going to sit in this sort of area directly outside their opponent's base and just sort of sap away every last scrap of farm so that D2 Hustlers are really just pinned back.
And Yuma, while he was able to make a break back there, he does have his Chronosphere now, but as soon as they make this play towards the bot lane, the smoke, once they realize it's whiffing, Saberlight is really in the scary position, but they're showing absolutely no one on the Undying side. They don't know that these heroes have left. They don't know that they're slightly weaker on the map. And D2 Hustlers, they either have to make the risky call or they have to sit in their base and be cautious here. And Pedego, he is smoked up. He's trying to get some vision out. But at the same time, Saberlight, with how much farm he's been able to amass, I really don't know if they have enough damage to kill him without using 4 or 5 ultimates. Ooh, Dubai.
Oh, he wants in, but
He missed the blink, and now Pendego's dead.
oof. And that is the sort of razor-thin margin for error
Oh,
right
boy.
now.
Oh.
Oh, God, Devi not dead yet. Yuma, though. Okay, he's in with the Chrono, but where's the damage? They need it. The False Promise, though, has already come out, so Saberlight will not fall. The Roar now being deployed onto Papatuti. They do get to press the attack onto him, though, so that will remove that debuff. But Yuma, he's stuck in the middle of the fight. He will be taken down, and now Papatuti and Frugos are on the run. As Bryle, pushes in, GG will be called, and Undying will take game 1 in pretty dominant fashion here.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm surprised. I can't say anybody is surprised by the outcome of that match, but really, they weren't able to get away with they've got away with so many other teams where they are not going to wait. Undying are going to draft a lineup that is going to fast forward the schedule. That's why they banned out that Saberlight Slardar. It probably would have been even worse, but at the same time, you pick up this Beastmaster, you don't have a hero to go versus him. He takes over that top lane, he pushes in his wave all the way to the tower, then he very easily makes those early rotations up on the mid. And they didn't have a hero to play with Papatuti. You didn't have that Tusk, you didn't have that Nyx Assassin or Rubik. You weren't able to make those easy skirmish plays that would have extended the game a little bit longer. And Undying, they just played a little bit too clean. D2 Hustlers really had very few openings in that game.
Yeah. Couldn't buy the time that they needed. Faceless Void really doesn't take off in the way that they required him to. Papatuti kind of lacking. Devi Llama, 1 or 2 solid duels from him in there, but overall that game plan really did fall apart. So we were mentioning it in the draft. We were both sort of questioning exactly how much the LC was going to be able to do against this Undying lineup, and unfortunately, it doesn't quite pan out the way that D2 Hustlers had been hoping for. So Undying are able to get a pretty straightforward win here. That win will now sort of clear them out from any potential tiebreaker scenarios. They are into that upper bracket guaranteed here. So for them, game 2 takes on a little bit less importance. They needed that 1 win. They get it here. Job done, and they can sort of get that weight off their shoulders. For D2 Hustlers, though, a lost game here sort of puts the pressure on them. They do have a chance at redemption in game 2, and obviously they do have another series later on today. But much like Undying, they would like to sort of get it done here and now, try and get that weight off their shoulders as quickly and as early as possible. So if they want that win, they're going to have to make some adjustments here. This game 1 loss is going to hit them pretty hard, but we'll see what adjustments that they make heading into that game 2 draft. So we are going to be hopping into a bit of a break here, taking some time to get the teams ready to go for round 2. So stick around, and we will return for game 2 between Undying and D2 Hustlers in just a few minutes.